All right, thank you, Anthony. A not guilty verdict this week frees former Clay County Sheriff Daryl Daniels from his 2-year legal battle, but the scandal that engulfed his term as sheriff puts Daniels in good company on a long list of First Coast sheriffs whose tenure ranged from controversial to outright criminal. On your side's Ann Schindler takes a deep dive into the history of Northeast Florida's top cops in trouble.
Yeah, it is scandalous.
In addition to being First Coast News crime analyst, Mark Bachman is also a former DEA agent.
I was the case agent in the investigation with Lori Ellis.
Lori Ellis, the former Nassau sheriff convicted of dealing drugs in 1993, who spent 14 years in federal prison.
Roughly 16 keys of coke and about 500 pounds of marijuana.
A little more than a year later, Baker County Sheriff Joe Newman's prosecuted for drug distribution and sentenced to 5 years in prison.
One of the longest standing sheriffs in the state of Florida, but corrupt beyond belief.
Some were charged with lesser crimes, like former Putnam Sheriff Jeff Hardy, arrested for DUI.
Are you on the road? Are you driving? And you're on the road? No.
Some weren't charged with any crime.
Scott Lancaster.
Scott Lancaster, the Clay County Sheriff.
Fraudulent misuse of a county credit card.
A grand jury found he violated the public trust and embarrassed the county, but he wasn't charged and later returned to law enforcement.
Fast forward, you had some investigations of other sheriffs.
Tommy Seagraves, investigated by the FBI, never charged, and later hired as a state inspection agent.
Sheriff Williams, who wasn't under investigation, but basically violates the city charter by living somewhere else.
Williams is now expected to return to work at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. And then
Daryl Daniels, the most recent sheriff.
He lost his re-election bid last year, but in a statement today, he hinted about future service, something Bachman says would not surprise him.
He's got a pretty big ego. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to run for sheriff again.
Ann Schindler, First Coast News, on your side.